And hello, it's me, that D-O-double-G, and welcome one and all to the multi-award nominated Absolute Football Podcast. And it's a magical place. We're on our way there with toys in the millions, all under one roof. It's called Toys of Us. It's not, but we're all going to have fun as if it was, because it's not me. We're here with the OGs. The original gangsters, brap, brap, brap. And coming in with his first brap, what's up, Samuel?
Brap, brap, brap. Toys R Us, brap, brap. How are you doing? I've not heard of Toys R Us for ages. I used to love Toys R Us. Used to be able to play on the little computers and go on the bikes for free. Couldn't you run around the shop? You can't do that now. We can. You get arrested, but it's a shame.
Well, do you know what? I used to work at Toys R Us. Back when I was at university, I worked at Toys R Us, and my wife worked at Toys R Us the year after, but we didn't cross paths. Wasn't meant to be. We weren't ready for each other. Ready for each other.
Toys R Us certainly weren't ready for you, so they just had to let it brew.
What a job! Multimedia advisor of the year. Just play computer games all evening. Marvelous. What a time to be alive. But speaking of somebody who's enjoying being alive at the moment, she's not being beaten up by illness at all, I'm sure. It's Charlotte. How are you this evening, Charlotte?
Honestly, this cough does me dirty. It's fine for the rest of the week. Come Monday when I'm podding, come Thursday, it does me dirty. But I think it kind of might have something to do with Rochdale on Saturday and all the shouting. So I think that's why. But I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
Oh man, do you know I'm a bit worn down. I mean, my Toys R Us tribute come from my wonderful wife. Actually took me to see Punk Rock Factory on the weekend.
What you were going to say then?
Took me back in time.
Did you run?
The Toys R Us in W.H. Smith's up by us. But no, they took to see Punk Rock Factory. You haven't seen them. You're missing out. What a band of your life. And they're right up my street. Punk rock music, but they do versions of they did the Toys R Us theme, they did SpongeBob SquarePants, they do Disney covers, they did C'est La Vie, Back for Good, the Moana, they did they opened with Go the Distance, they did Friend Like Me from Aladdin. What else did they do? Thriller for Michael Jackson. Loads of bangers. The Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles theme. I was in my element all day. It was just, it was
I've actually got something to tell you, Josh. I think you'll appreciate it. Me and my sister have got tickets for McFly versus Busted.
Do you know what? My wife said that. She was like, do you want to go? I was like, I do, but I'm spending so much money at the moment. Where are you seeing them?
It's in Manchester in October next year, I think.
Are they doing UK tours?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you never know. It's still early days. I might end up getting the tickets.
I've added new dates as well.
We'll see how often they're in Cardiff, because I went to see McFly in the O2, and that was banging. God, do I not love McFly? God. But it's not just us here. People are in the chat as well. What's up? He's a big Graham GC. What's up to the OGs? I mean, GC, he's becoming one of the OGs. He's like an OG chatter. Is Big Gray, and another OG chatter, Cap Alid. Good evening, Cap Alid. And Chris enjoying Toys R Us. What a throwback! Oh, great. Spenny fan Chris. Good evening. Where was he? And Sean's there as well. Good evening. Hope we're doing well. Can we skip Thursday, Shard?
We won't skip Thursday, but we'll skip their result and our result. 100%.
That sounds fine. She gives the people what they want, Charlotte. She appears and then she shows the game that she wants. That's it. This Heather's a good evening, Heather. I'm sure she's going to be very pleased to talk about a particular game this weekend.
Sam too. Josh too.
And we got Cap Allen, got his Game Boy SP from Toys R Us. Do you know what? I got my Nintendo 64 and GameCube with Donkey Kong. We had to play the bongo drums. Boop, 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 boop. That was it. Smack the drums and clap. What a game. What a time to be alive that was. Also, I was there for when they did the new Star Wars film, and I got to dress up as Anakin Skywalker. My boss dressed up as Darth Vader, and I got to play with lightsabers all evening. Marvelous. What else we got going on in here? Look at it. Ali doesn't want to talk about the FA Cup. Doesn't want to talk about the FA Cup as Spenny fan drops in some results on us. Cap Alan's enjoying a bit of the Busted and McFly on a flashback. Is rocking out. Should be rocking out. Charlie from Busted had a rock band called Fight Star. He did. Paint Your Target, I think, was the first song I heard them do, and I bought like 2 or 3 of their first albums. Banging, very different from Busted. And OJ Chatter, that's right, big juicy, such an honor. You have to go put a cap on backwards, wop. And Spenny fan Chris remembers getting this Sega Master System from Toys R Us. And what game did he get with the Sega Master System? Because you never just bought a console; it always had a game with it. So you'll have to let us know. How about you, Shad? Did you buy anything from Toys R Us before we get into the football talk that people are tuning in for?
It'd probably be like Barbies or something. I used to love Barbies when I was younger, so it'd probably be some Barbie or Sky. You probably don't, because obviously you're guys. But what we call sky dancers, where you'd put them on something and you'd
I know what you mean. You pull it and it goes.
in the air. Yeah. I loved them.
I know what you mean. I don't know why I know them. Either my sisters might have had.
I
might have had one.
Dancer,
I could well have had one. You never know. Never know. I don't prejudice over here. Spenny fan Chris Sonic friends. One. Yeah. If I wanted the Sky Dancer, I was having the Sky Dancer. Exactly. I knew worry about it. But how about you, Sam? Anything else before we move on?
I don't think I remember going there a lot, not getting anything, but I think, the Mega Drive was the first one I had. So we might have got something for the Mega Drive, I think. Sonic 1. Ryan Giggs International Soccer, which was a hell of a game, which we found if you got a player sent off in the first half, you could sub someone else on in the second half mysteriously, and then they'd have extra stats. It was a good time to be alive. It's a bit like being Man City, really. We just bent the rules a bit early, but there you go.
Do you know what? Kids don't appreciate it now. Cap Alley got Pokemon Fire Red for the Game Boy. GC is the Sega Master System and Wonder Boy. Master System and Alex the Kid I had. And Sean said his local toy shop was the first to bring Lego over the UK. Well, we salute you, Lego bringing toy shop.
Did you used to have Paperboy as well? The Paperboy game.
I didn't have it.
That was a classic. I was actually phenomenal. I was actually late once for my paper round because I was playing Paperboy on the Sega Mega. Classic.
Did they appreciate the irony?
I said I was training.
Like that. But that's not what we're here. Everybody obviously loves a bit of Toys R Us talk, obviously. But there was some football happened over the weekend, and there's so many good games and such important games. I don't quite know where to start. I think the most important. Let's start with the biggie, the one that I felt was one of the more comprehensive victories. Bournemouth 2. Bournemouth 2, Man City 1. Charlotte, how did that game make you feel?
Well, all I'm going to say, because I have to say it, is Semenyo. That's where I'm going to start. But wow, I mean, he's beating Arsenal and then beating Manchester City. And do you know what? Bournemouth are really exciting me when I watch them. They play with such high intensity. They're just such a very attacking team. And honestly, I really, really, really enjoyed this game. Obviously, the result was even better. But what I loved as well, Kirkes, I think that's how you pronounce it. What a game he had. And I don't know if any of you saw it for the first goal, but he took Foden on down that wing. He came out on top, obviously. And that ball to Semenyo, it was just absolute quality. Yeah. But yeah, not just for that. I thought it was brilliant throughout. It was putting his body on the line as well, defending when City had a chance. So yeah, I really, really thought Kirkes did brilliant that game. But yeah, City obviously had a few chances. Haaland didn't look up to obviously scratch. I think in the first half, it did get a slight knock. So I don't know if that was obviously that kind of influenced him not to be as like the Erling Haaland that we know kind of thing. He did struggle a bit. Foden had chances as well, but he didn't seem himself as well. I don't really know what's going on with Phil Foden at the minute. But yeah, Bournemouth again with the quick press. And then obviously we got the second goal, which was a very, very good finish as well. Guardiola then went and scored. It was a very good header from him, quite a high header. The keeper was on that side, but couldn't get his fingertips to it. It didn't really have a chance, to be honest, because it was quite high. But yeah, Bournemouth really excite me. And I think I'm going to be eating my words because I didn't really know what to expect with Bournemouth at the start of the season. And I thought Solanke would be a very big miss for them. But I think they've really took it in the stride. The new manager's got them playing some really good stuff. So excited to watch them.
They were so good. There was so much to look to take out the game as well. I think Graham said that this morning so much we'll think she's got a coat hanger in her mouth. She said slight knock. I'm assuming this was to Haaland. It's just like Lewis Cook took him out.
Yeah.
Don't be such a wuss, Haaland. God blimey. Who is the other one? She said she had to go on the radio this one with her throat in bits. But I like this one. It's men. Yo, always believe in your soul.
I could get behind that. To be fair, I can get behind that one.
I gotta be off for that first. I mean, he worked for it as well. There wasn't like an easy one to finish because I think the ball was slightly behind him, wasn't he? He had to sort of pull himself back and adjust. I thought it was brilliant. I'm waiting to drop him into my FPL team. That's what I'm trying to do. He's going in, not this game week coming up, because do you know what I've just done? I've just taken Haaland out.
He's gone big.
He's out.
He's big.
Out, mate. Yeah, well, do you know what? Because this frees up. I didn't realize how expensive he is. 15 odd million. Mad stuff. Especially if I'm Chris saying, and I don't know who Iola loves beating Champions League teams, both with Rayo Vallecano and now Bournemouth. But they were really exciting. Van Ilson played well as well.
Really brave as well.
Yeah.
Like putting a body on the line, and he was so brave in the bravery, and I really rate that. And as I said to Heather, I think I'm really going to be eating my words, and I'm happy to because they've really proven me wrong. They really are.
Yeah. And Heather was saying that is Semenyo's official chant. The fact that you can play both. I think, by the way, Heather, the way you should try and do the Semenyo as he comes out by yourself. Just do it. Be brave. Be brave like your team. Just stand
brave like Bournemouth.
And they were. I mean, I'm with you, Shah. I thought they were excellent because it wasn't like they sneaked through the game or were like hanging on for dear life or anything. It was a really well worked game. I was ever so impressed. Samuel, what did you think of Bournemouth?
Very, very impressed. Yeah, we were waxing lyrical around last week with the draw at Villa, but first ever win over Manchester City, ending a 32-game unbeaten run. And I think as Heather said there, they just utterly deserved it. And I like the fact that they, rather than just trying to do it sitting in a low block and that they went after them. They pressed them and said, "No, you're going to have to deal with us. You're going to have to deal with our quick transition." And they really couldn't. As you said, Semenyo is one of those. This season, you're starting to see the fruits of it, but he was one of those transfers that no one probably would have picked up too much. It was I think it was January season and a bit ago from Bristol City, and his stats for them were good, but not anything kind of to write home about. And he really is developing to be a fantastic, dangerous player. And that connection he's picking up, as Shah said, with Kirkes down the left, that's really starting to grow as well. And you can see Iraola using that really well as part of his kind of tactical plan. But I think just an absolute fantastic performance from Bournemouth to go and do that off the back of beating Arsenal, off the back of a draw against Villa. But from a City perspective, they're odd at the minute. They're odd because they've gone behind in so many games. They looked a bit lethargic. That midfield didn't quite look right. They are obviously Haaland stopped scoring. He had some chances this week though, because I think the previous week he hadn't had many chances. But just seems if he's not scoring, they really are struggling. Gvardiol's their only threat at the moment. His header was really good. I think he's become almost their sort of second top scorer. But as Shah said, Foden's not quite right. Doku's in and out. Savinho, I'm not really too impressed by. I think De Bruyne is on the way back, isn't he? Is he on the bench this weekend or something? Or he's always,
I'm pretty sure he is.
So he's close off. But I know like Pep's doing this bit of the season where he's tweaking and he's faffing about, but they do seem to sort of have players that I think he mentioned that they've had to kind of be playing a lot of that same player base. He's not been rotating as much, and it's hurting them a tad. And then that they've got John Stones is out again, isn't it? There's a couple of these players that are now starting to pick up regular knocks. De Bruyne has always been one. Stones, Walker's already had a knock already this season. I think he looks more vulnerable this season than I've ever seen him as well. So I think he'll be a bit concerned. But for Bournemouth, what a run that they're on.
I mean, you see, I think Man City look tired, doesn't it? Even Pep, I think, is looking a bit tired. Because it's how long has he been there now? Like 7, 8 years?
It's 7, 8 years, isn't it? And I think all the noises before this thing, because they've got this Club World Cup in July, and it's almost like they're talking and looking ahead, going, this is going to be a long one. Like, we're already... And I don't know whether mentally that's taken effect as well, because they're all thinking, Jesus, not even going to get a holiday this year or do anything. And they seem to have, rather than embrace the challenge at the minute, then they've had the Rodri injury, and they just seem to be sort of feeling hard down on their luck and not. It just didn't match Bournemouth's energy and passion at the weekend as well, as much as the quality they put into the match. And they know, Pep knows more than anybody, you lose games in the Premier League with that, because there's a lot of good teams in the Premier League now that if you don't step up and match that level of enthusiasm, and you can't keep going behind in games, particularly away games where you've got a passionate crowd, because you're going to get punished eventually.
Well, I know that as a Liverpool fan, mate, you can't keep going behind.
No. Could I just mention on Rodri as well? I know people see Rodri as the solidity, and he's dead solid and he protects the defence. But I was actually so surprised. He scored 8 goals last season, and I think it was 9 or 10 assists as well. So as much as he's there and he's like the glue and he's holding them all together, he does contribute towards goals and stuff as well. So I think that's a very big miss. And obviously, he's just a magnificent player.
And he's a goal scorer. He's big goal scorer as well, and he scores big goals.
Yeah.
He turns up in those moments massively. I was on the edge of the box in big games. I think it was that last game of the season. He sort of instigated the comeback. And I don't feel they have as much of that at the minute. If they can't find Haaland, they're struggling to kind of know what to do.
Because historically, they sort of had Kevin De Bruyne and Yaya Toure in their midfield positions that could galvanise and make. I mean, De Bruyne from just technical excellence, and Yaya Toure, he was just a machine with an engine and could put them goals through. But it's
Alvarez as well. They haven't Alvarez. I know he didn't play all the time, but he'd get you goals, and they've still not obviously they've not replaced him. And even though
Savino coming in is just. He's not anywhere near the level of Alvarez, as you said. So that's a good point. Alvarez has been a massive drop for them this season, because he was so crucial for when Haaland wasn't quite at it, Alvarez was. So
it's almost like arrogant transfers. It looked like to a degree. Just even when they let Ferran Torres in and out and shaking it all about without really replacing him. The Sky Blue Hub is saying Haaland looks like he picked up an injury for training today, based on some of the social media clips he's seen.
Looks like you might not be the only person to offer him out of FPL if that's the case. We're all going to be getting on that train ride.
Might have been clairvoyant. Graham said, sadly, come January, we all know the juggernaut will take off. But that's where isn't that when the Club World Cup Championship is about?
It's at the end of the season, isn't it? I think it's in July. So, yeah. They're doing it as a World Cup, aren't they? It's actually like a month-long World Cup with the team.
Have they changed it then? Because didn't they used to be around Christmas?
It did used to be Christmas. Yeah, they're doing it as I think it is a 32-team, 8 groups of 4 knockout.
Is that UEFA or FIFA?
It's FIFA. Yeah,
they suck. You suck ass FIFA. Just spoil everything. Take anything. They want to make it into a club that somebody cares about, but nobody's going to care about it. It's not going to happen. So just stop trying and just leave domestic leagues as they are. Leave the Champions League. Just stop being so silly. Heather said usually Bernardo Silva and Gundogan as well. And those are 2 players that just. I mean, you can't replace Bernardo Silva as Pep cried to us at the end of the season, but it's true you can't replace him. And it's that sort of energy that they haven't got, because Phil Foden, as you said, Charles, been a bit off, and he's even when he's on his game, he's weak as a physicality. He's more like a technical, doing little bits, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. And I know a lot of people, and I've said it in the past as well, where there is a lot of games now, and I think a lot of players are feeling it at the minute. Obviously, there's a lot more players getting injured. You've got these new competitions coming in. You've got the new Champions League format as well. It's just been the Euros. So I honestly think a lot of these players are drained, and what the impact it's having on the bodies as well. And I do have to sympathise them. I know people are like, oh, they're getting paid all this money and stuff, but the toll it must take on the bodies. And it's like the long-term injuries we are seeing now. And I think with Foden, I'm sure he was ill. I'm sure it was an injury, but I think he was slightly off as well. I think it was an illness. But yeah, as you mentioned, I think he's quite weak and things like that. And I think Jack Grealish is a massive miss, because obviously Jack Grealish, and as much as people are saying is cost this amount of money, he's not doing this, he's not scoring it. The stuff he does, his physicality and the way he holds up the ball and the things he does that we don't all see often. Like my uncle, he has a season ticket at Manchester City, and I was actually talking about Jack Grealish, and I was like, oh, he's not been on it. And it's like, it's surprising from the Manchester City fans who see him week in, week out and what he actually does for the team, but we don't see it because we're not watching him all the time. So I think he's a massive miss as well, Jack Grealish.
Because he become, and he's got a good attitude, Grealish. He's a worker and he's willing to put in the hard yards. He's got that like working man mentality. So he's got that flash in his bag, but he's a crafter, and he does the dirty bits that need to be done. He does the hard graft and he does the hard yards.
John Stone's still injured as well.
Stones has gone back out injured, yeah.
He's a massive miss as well, because I really like John Stones. I think he's really, really good, and it's surprising like what he does and the way even he can like drift into midfield as well, John Stones. And I think he comes up, doesn't he, with the goals when you need it the most. It's like 90+8 header, things like that.
And it's not just his play, is as a leader and as a leader on the pitch. Yeah, because he's quite an intelligent footballer on the pitch, and he does direct play, and they're missing quite a lot. And I'm really happy, because I don't want Man City to win stuff all the time. I want it to be a competitive league and more teams to do well. And things like
me and Sam aren't happy though, because it's out of Liverpool, Arsenal, City, but Nottingham
Forest are now the new saviours. Yeah. We've gone from Villa to Forest now.
Do you know what? As well, I saw a stat, right? I think it was BBC who put it, and they've had the same stats so far as when Leicester won the league. You never know, Chris Wood.
Chris Wood is taking them all the way.
Saviour.
Just leave it.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Sam Starman.
So, but in the chat, we've got Treaty. Treaty has joined us, clocking in 23 minutes late this evening.
We don't care, because Dietrich's a legend. We love Dietrich. Anyone else we shout at, but not Dietrich.
You get that's love. It's true love. That is. Glenn saying Fox are going to do a Leicester, and I'm obviously, as a Liverpool fan, as the league leaders at the moment, I'm all right for that not quite to happen. But we had some.
How does that make you feel, Josh?
Don't you worry. We'll come on to that. But Heather was feeling that Bournemouth could have scored 5. If a couple went in off the post. Cap had thought at least 3. Do you think Semenyo may have finished Kyle Walker, made him look washed? My favourite comment from Heather: his challenge accepted. I'm waiting to see it on Sky. And then this evening, some crazy lady stood up in the middle. But what you're going to do, Heather, is wait for the quieter bit so it really stands out. So just as everything's died down, like they have the kickoff with all that noise in, sort of 7 minutes in when it starts to die, I just want you to stand up and go, Semenyo!
I'd laugh if someone else stood up and went, when you're near.
Yeah, you got to get all of them around you.
Like a flash mob. People are going,
I would love that. Love it.
And then you can start walking up and down. From the day he arrived at the Cherries, blinking, stepped into the sun. Because there's more to see that could ever be seen, and in Bournemouth, more to do that could ever be done. She just needs a life. Do you know what? I was going to say just pick up a random kid. Don't just pick up a random kid. No. That won't go. No.
Open ties are
Yeah, get a Lion King toy. Come on. And Stevie Lee at the chat, don't knock the wood.
Don't knock the wood. FPL points machine.
I tell you what, you've mentioned it a couple of times. We will shall we fleetingly touch on Nottingham Forest destroying West. I didn't watch the game. I didn't cover it massively, so I'm gonna have to be led. But Sam, you've got Mr. Wood. He's giving you wood in your FPL, and as you can see on his ceiling, he's showing off his wood. He's all about the wood, young Samuel. Tottenham Forest, West Ham 0, and Nottingham Forest title challenge. How does that one make you feel?
It makes me feel so excited for them, and so excited for Chris Wood. I've even just got rid of my ceiling, just in absolute awe of the man who continues to score me FPL points every week. They are having a hell of a season. They've got themselves, I think, quite quietly, a really good team, a really good squad, a really balanced team as well. You know, they're not conceding many goals defensively. I think they're second best in the league, I think, behind Liverpool in terms of goals conceded. But that attack as well, and it's all kind of made up of exciting young players that were on the periphery of other teams. People like Callum Hudson-Odoi, people like Anthony Elanga. You know, even Chris Wood was on Newcastle's books a few years ago. On top of that, Elliot Anderson at Newcastle they brought in, and he's came in when Morgan Gibbs-White was injured. The fullbacks are really exciting. Ola Aina and Moreno, they've been playing down the left. And then they bring in Milenkovic at centre-back, which was a transfer I was quite excited about for him in the summer. I think they got him at, I think, like 12 million, an absolute steal. He's looked brilliant at centre-back as well. And they're just... I'm sort of quite pleased in a way for, I think, Espirito Santo, because in recent years, particularly because I think the Tottenham thing, then he went out to Saudi, everyone kind of dismissed him a bit, didn't they? Because he had that run at Wolves and then it didn't go at all well at, if I remember, we got manager of the month after a month and then it just completely went disastrous and he was sacked by Christmas, I think, when he was at that run at Spurs. And everyone dismissed him. But those first couple of seasons at Wolves when they got promoted, I think he finished 7th. They came up from the Championship. He got 2 consecutive 7th place finishes with a Wolves team that, you know, kind of had no right to be challenging. As Glenn says, yeah, he did it with Wolves. He got them into Europe. And Forest is, and I do love, like, when you get a big club that's got a lot of history that kind of comes back again, that kind of, you know, Aston Villa have been enjoying how they've been doing it. But particularly, say, Forest, you know, European Cup winners in the past, Brian Clough and all that kind of legacy that sits behind them. Big club, and fair play to them enjoying it, because they're playing really clever, really balanced football, and they're just really tightened up. So one of the stats I saw was they conceded, I think, last season 23 goals from set pieces, which is more than both Luton and Sheffield United, and this season they've only conceded 1. You know, they've absolutely nailed down on these kind of points. You know, it's early in the season. Will they go on a run that might be difficult if they get a couple of injuries? But why not just keep riding the crest? West Ham are awful. I've got to be honest. West Ham are really bad.
Toilet, didn't they?
But Forest had to put them down and had to put them off, and they really did. So I'm all for, Forest, keep this coming.
I like the fact that now in like the top 5, if not the top 6, Arsenal are the only team without the Champions League. Big club. That does tickle me. And what I didn't. Oh, Jen's with us. Hiya, love. I mean, Char, are you enjoying Nottingham Forest?
I am really enjoying Nottingham Forest. Like Sam said, they've actually got some really good players, and you forget about some of them because they seem to pick up the kind of players like. We mentioned Elanga. They're not quite good enough for your big teams, but they all gel together and they're very exciting players as well. It's like Chris Wood. He's really found his feet at the minute, and I always see him. He seems to score your goals, Chris Wood, but I always seem to forget about him. It's a bit like Ings, obviously. He's not doing it at West Ham at the minute, but he's that kind of player where you think, oh, they've been around for a while. I remember him. And they always get you goals like Danny Welbeck as well. But yeah, they really excited me. And do you know what? Like Sam said, I'm really happy for Nuno, because I just thought after him obviously going to Tottenham, getting a job, and then obviously it didn't go well there. Saudi, it didn't seem to, I think he clashed, was it, with whoever in Saudi? Was it players or was it owners? I'm not too sure. I think he clashed with them. And then obviously he's come back now, and yeah, I've been doing really well. And another one who was surprising me. My predictions at the minute are completely like.
Do you know what? The bottom three, I think that's it.
I know.
Graham's bigging it up. Spirito, and I'm happy for old Nuno as well, really, and it seems a bit like in the league now we've moved away from having superstar squads and squads with all these superstars doing well. It's looking a bit more collective. So if you look at teams like Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, they're all more than the sum of the parts at the moment, and it just feels a little bit more like it's becoming a team game again, rather than just having elite players making the difference. It's team and tactics, and everything seems to matter a lot more. I'm all for that. I'm thoroughly enjoying it at the moment because we're winning. if we wouldn't do well, I'd be really sulky. But for the league, it's looking very sexy. As Grace says, all that European heritage at the top of the Prem and Arsenal. They've got to just spoil it for everybody, don't they? I mean, we'll might as well come on to that. Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 0. Nothing from Arsenal. Who wants to pick that up? Sam or Shah, whichever one of you, who wants to tell me how that made you feel?
I don't mind cutting in. Yeah, Arsenal are they're having a stutter. They've gone all the way up to Newcastle and suffered another loss. A tremendous goal, by the way, for Newcastle as well. Anthony Gordon, they switch Gordon to the right, and I suppose that's the benefit of getting him on his right foot. He can deliver crosses like that, and then Isak with the header. But I thought Newcastle just nullified Arsenal completely. The fullback's really good in terms of Livramento on the right hand side was excellent. Lewis Hall, and then they kind of did this double up with Joel Linton that worked really well on Saka. And not only that, they used the fact that Saka's such a threat to their advantage because that left such a gap, and that was where they were able to transition through with Willock, who was playing over that side, and they'd clearly kind of worked on that, and that got them out quite a few times. But Arsenal just look a bit toothless at the minute. I think away from home, there's only Brentford, stat saw today, have had less shots per game in away matches in the Premier League this season. They're just not creating. They're just, I know Odegaard is out, and that seems to be massive. It seems to be like it's stopped everything in terms of either that or they have a set-piece goal or Saka pops up with something. If it's not that, then the attack looks really weak and toothless and too many players out of form. The goal was Gabriel and Saliba were nowhere near him. There was no communication going on there. And everyone's been massively praising them. They seem to have a couple of cracks coming through. And I think the pressure is going to start to build, because we know what Arsenal fans aren't happy at the best of times. But if they start to see themselves drifting out of the title race, it's going to get pretty noisy. I saw today Edu's gone, isn't he? Edu's moved potentially, I think, Forest. They reckon he's going to Forest. And he's one of Arteta's biggest advocates. So I think the noise will start to build this season if it carries on. They were fortunate in a way because City lost. If City had lost one, there'd be 8 points. Liverpool, they're still 7 points behind, but City's the one that they're really knowing what they can be in the second half of the season. But they're just not playing well enough. They're not playing well enough. And if they play like that in away games coming up, they're going to get beat again because they're not scoring goals. And there's too many teams in the Premier League at the minute that are capable of scoring against you. If you're not carrying the same threat the other way, it could get a bit rough. I mean, I think if the results had gone against them, they could have been like 7th or 8th, which I'm sat in 13th, so they're not too far away from me then. But
I mean, they've not got a striker, and Arteta's refused to buy one previously, and you get surprised if you're not playing with a striker, you're not getting the shots on. It is that stubborn bit of arrogance that I'm right regardless. It's not working. I mean, we'll touch on Newcastle in a moment. I know Stevie's put some comments in the chat about Newcastle, so we will pick up on them. But we'll just take a quick look at Arsenal for the moment. I mean, Shah, did you catch the game? Have you seen what's been going on there? What do you think?
I caught bits of it, but what really baffles me is they've not won anything. Obviously, I feel like there's not really much stick going Arteta's way. But if it was another club, obviously, and their manager, there'd be so many people like on the witch hunt. And I feel like this season should have been Arsenal's season. And I know it's the long time to go, but you think Liverpool have obviously lost Klopp. You didn't know what was going to go with Slot. Obviously, with Manchester City, with Rodri, they've got the charges like hanging over their head as well. So I feel like there's more pressure actually on Arsenal now to kind of do something because they came close the last couple of seasons. So it just baffles me because I feel like no one's really on at Arteta and they're just letting him go by and stuff. But surely they have to win something this season because it's been a project, it's been an ongoing project, but they've still not really got anywhere with it. They've not won anything. That's what I don't understand.
And it's excuses all the time. I mean, they go about like injuries at the moment. Everybody has injuries all the time. That's part of football. Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, man, it is ideal time for them because you think, like you said, Man City have got a lot of big players that they're missing at the moment, but they're still sitting in second place, regardless of losing.
In a transition with Liverpool as well, though, it's like nobody knew what was going to happen this season with Liverpool, did they?
We signed no players.
Exactly. So you'd think, and I think we've mentioned it on another podcast, I think it was me and you, weren't it, Sam? And there just doesn't seem to be much. They should be the ones now, and I feel like they're under more pressure now to do that because of the circumstances, but they just don't seem to be getting anywhere.
All right, see in the chat, Arsenal are world champions at whinging. They are at the moment. It's a bit strange when you listen, and it's difficult because when you only look at social media, there is only a limited window, and you do get a lot of the mentals making the loudest noise on this and ridiculous things. But it's almost like they think they are amazing, and the only reason it doesn't work is because of extenuating factors. But they're amazing. Best manager, best defender, best midfielders, best. Except there's always this woe is me. And it's a bit like this woe is me has become accepted now that, it's not his fault. Whereas like at Manchester United, for example, Sam, I mean, people will be on the players, they'll be on the staff behind the scenes, they'll be on the manager, like no one's business. And, when you look at it, Eric Ten Hag did better than Arteta for the majority of the time. If you look at sort of comparison and weigh up all of Arteta's seasons, sort of Eric Ten Hag, he was better, but it wasn't at an acceptable standard because a Manchester United standard, I think, is higher. And you sort of accept no substitutes, and that's a winning mentality. I mean, like with Pep Guardiola, players are injured. I haven't seen him. I'm not a fan of Pep, and if he was whinging a lot, I would be on him. But I don't see him. This guy's injured, that guy's injured, that guy's injured, and they still got their standards up here, and they're still pursuing and chasing that. Whereas Arsenal, there's like this acceptance that it's the referees, is injuries going on, it's a bit bad weather today, I tripped on my way into work, I had a flat, there was a leaf blown onto the. It's just anything seems to be hitting them at the minute.
It's like with Arsenal though, and I've been in Twitter spaces where I've listened to like Arsenal and United fans like have it out, and Arsenal fans always use but we've got Champions League football, and it's like, but you've not won a Champions League or a trophy to show that. And as much as you have got Champions League football, Manchester United last season won a trophy. Like, so it kind of, with me, I kind of just think with Arteta, like maybe don't get me wrong, he's done brilliant, like the players that have come through and like kind of having them up there, like competing again. But surely they must be hungry for a trophy now. And it's like they're laughing at Spurs and things like that. But it's like Arsenal,
they're the same team.
Arsenal haven't won a trophy, have they?
They haven't done it, and as you said, so like but we're in the Champions League. That's exactly the mentality that they hated under Wenger. That's what Wenger did. Wenger got them top four. That was his when they had the Emirates and they said we don't have the money, so we'll just keep getting the top. They'd go out in the round of 16 every year. But what's kind of got me this season with them is there's this kind of this decision that because they're so good in the Premier League that we're in the shot, Champions League, we should be Champions League, Champions League and Premier as well. You've never won it in your history. To win the Champions League is a massive, massive thing. There are many good sides around Europe that have great teams that do it. That suddenly they're going to win both. You're like, you've not even won one. Like there seems to be they're going to hit that. They're going to hit that height, and they just need to get over the line with something. So get over the line with something because it's all about, we have a Man City there and they're doing it. Liverpool know more than anybody else that Man City have been a pain in the arse and Liverpool have taken them toe to toe. But Klopp came back and came again and was winning Champions Leagues and other trophies around that kind of period. And Arsenal aren't winning trophies. And I really do think this season it's going to be a slow burn if it carries on like this, because everyone's expectancy is that this is last season should have been Arsenal's season. This season has to be Arsenal's season, because if they don't get close, if they get close and they win a cup or whatever, then there's a narrative there that they can probably spin and say, okay, one more or whatever. But if they get blown out, say Liverpool win the title in Slot's first season, long way off, but say that happens and City do well and Arsenal end up finishing third or fourth, they don't win a trophy, some huge decisions to make, because the whole point of that project is to get to the end of the project, which is a Premier League title. That's what they're, in an ideal world, Champions League and the rest of it. But there's some circumstances where that can't happen. If they win a Premier League, that's what they want to get to. And if they don't win a Premier League and they're getting further away, and Chelsea are starting to build again, other teams are coming as well. The transition with Man City, with the post-Pep Guardiola, might be years away. You don't know what's going on. And Liverpool could, if this is Slot's first season, what can Slot do in the second season? They've got all of this to come. If they mess things up this season, and as you said, Josh, where's the striker? We've all said, but where's the striker? They bought Mikel Merino, okay, decent player, but why aren't you going and getting it? It's the missing piece. It's the missing piece.
Should have got Tony. I honestly think they should have got Ivan Tony.
It's bonkers, really.
It would have made the difference. I mean, here's something we don't see in the chat every day. Someone totally agrees with me.
Wow. How much did you pay him? No, to be fair, you did speak sense then. I will give it to you.
Yeah, do you know what? Broken clock and all that jazz. and Chris is saying when Arsenal played Liverpool, their injury issues were pretty similar. I think it's just mentality sometimes, and it's just and I think we've said about other clubs, you got to know who you are. I don't just think we're the best, so we should be winning everything. You got to know who you are. And you've got to work to get there. And if you're just going to be happy to accept mediocrity and think, I mean, they've lost 2 games now. That can lose you the Premier League in a couple of seasons that we've had previously. If they lose one more, they could almost write it off. If you look at points tallies of the last 2 or 3 seasons, just because it is a horribly, horribly competitive season.
They've only won 50% of their games, which is not going to be anywhere enough. And okay, they've beaten Tottenham and they've beaten Villa. The other 3 teams have beaten Wolves, Leicester, and Saints. That you'd expect them to. That's not. I know Villa and Tottenham are both away, and they all point. We got that point at Man City. You're like, yeah, but you've just blown it with the last two losses that you've had. That point now is not as good as it was a month ago. That's now looking trouble. Same with the Liverpool result. If that had come off the back of 6 wins or whatever, you go, okay, you can live with that. But 3 wins without a loss, and they go away to Chelsea next. That's not a guarantee.
I mean, Stevie is saying, Arsenal, please keep off Isaac. Would be ideal. But I mean, but we've gone through Man City. Let's give Newcastle some of their flowers. I think Stevie said here, Hall, Livramento and Longstaff were brilliant. I also thought Joe Willock. Imagine if Willock was fit for like an entire season. I thought he was really good and properly surprised me in there. And it's been a weird season. It's only 10 games. We're 10 games in. Is it just me? Is it just been a bit of a weird season for Newcastle so far,
We say that, though, but they're only 3 points behind Arsenal.
Yeah.
Mad, isn't it? Last time I was on, and I was saying about Eddie Howe, and how I really, really want him to do well because I love Eddie Howe, but I think it'll be one of them seasons where it has to kind of prove himself now, because I know they kind of overachieved and got to Champions League earlier than they should have, didn't they? Was it Champions League they got into a couple of seasons ago? I think they kind of overachieved then. And I think the Newcastle fans, I don't know if Stevie agrees as well, but with the Newcastle fans, I think that's where they do kind of want to be. And I've always been unsure whether Eddie Howe is the right man to take them to that level or whether they will try and get that big name. So I was so happy for Eddie Howe. But yeah, it has been a really weird one for them. Especially if they've had players obviously coming back. I know Isak has had the odd injury here and there. Was it his toe? Is it a toe injury? And I think he was obviously a massive miss when he was out. But I think if you get Anthony Gordon and Isak scoring the goals, I don't think they will have a problem. I think that's what they do need to do. I think the main thing is for not Arsenal, for Newcastle is they do struggle with injuries, don't they? Quite a lot. So hopefully, if they can keep some of the squad fit, they can challenge and be up there. Because, like I said, they're only 3 points behind Arsenal now.
And I think they played quite well, I think. And it's a dogged performance because it's a good Arsenal team. But I thought they did really well. Stevie, I would say, you think Howe's trying to find balance in the side.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have to put Bruno Tonali, Joe Linden in midfield.
I love Tonali.
And do you know what? Joe Linden's just surprised me. I thought he was all right before he came, and obviously Steve Bruce trying to play him in a position that he doesn't play in. Sort of would have thrown him a little bit. But yeah, there's some good players and trying to make them work. And again, I like Joe Willett. I think he's quite good. And was he ex-Arsenal?
Yeah. They bought him off after about 28 million or something, I think. Yeah. There's someone they could do with around now. You know, Willett probably would do them a job, but.
And it is. I think it's just managing injuries. I can't remember if this is still the case. But a couple of years ago, I was told it was their training facility wasn't in the best condition, and people felt that's why they kept getting a lot of injuries. But I don't know. They said Steve was saying missing pace at centre back with Botman out long term. I think Dan Burn's not the paciest man in the world to have back there. So yeah,
bless him. I love Dan Burn.
I know, and I did I did read somewhere, again, I'm not sure if this is right, but there was a feeling that they might not be spending the Saudi spending plan might not be as aggressive or ambitious as it once was. I'm not sure how accurate that was, but that's something I read which could be a pain in the ass. But as we said, it seems to be more of like a team sport this season at the moment. See, we also don't want much then. So you want more balance in midfield, another centre back, and an elite right forward. But I don't think Bournemouth will give you Semenyo though. I don't think that's happening. But what a game that was though. I mean, and another, I think there was one more that affected the results, which I always feel bad mentioning them, but we have to. Liverpool 2, Brighton 1. I mean, Charlotte, Liverpool winning, they got to come to you first. Did that one make you feel?
Yeah, to be fair, I think Slot mentioned it in his interview as well. I thought they weren't really on it that first half. I thought Brighton obviously had more chances. They were more in the intensity Brighton were playing at. Obviously, Matoma. I love Matoma. Like, he's one of my favourites. Danny Welbeck is obviously scoring, but I think Brighton looked more on it and there was more about them that first half. Obviously, the second half, I think Slot had a bit of a change of formation. And then it was the Liverpool that obviously we've seen before. They look dangerous. And yeah, I mean, I think he's doing a really good job. As I mentioned, I really didn't know what to expect because obviously we were so used to Jurgen Klopp and things, but I feel like with Slot, he's kind of tightened them up a bit at the back. And I feel like they really are. I think Trent as well. I think Trent is defending really well compared to what other people have said previously about Trent. I think he's doing well. But Mo Salah, I know a lot of people go on about Erling Haaland and the impact that he makes, but I think Mo Salah is doing brilliant this season. He's scoring in most games. He's assisting. I mean,
he's so underrated, isn't he?
Yeah. And everyone's on about Haaland, and I don't like giving Liverpool much credit just because I like to spite you sometimes. But I really don't think Mo Salah is getting the credit that he deserves this season because he's always been involved with, if he's not scoring, is assisting or is involved there. And what a goal by Mo Salah as well, must I add. It was really, really good. But yeah, I honestly think, even if you don't win the league this season, I think you are strong enough at the minute. I think it'll all depend on injuries and things like that, because you never know. But I do think you will win a trophy this season. I'm not just saying it, I really do, because I think he's came in. I didn't know what to expect by him, but I think he's actually, I don't think they're really lacking anything. I think he's just come in and he's brought his tactics and things into it, and he's put his influence onto it. And I don't think it's worse or anything. I think he's actually progressing at the minute.
Yeah.
I really do like Slot. I do.
I mean, you mentioned Salah. In the last couple of seasons, he's got 32 goals, 22, 19, 22, 23, 19, 18. And then his assists are in double figures every year, bar 2. And it baffles me a little bit why he doesn't get. He wasn't even nominated for a Ballon d'Or. Not even for the African Player of the Year. I think he's in nominations for that either, which is bizarre. And again, with I would say about Trent's defending, it's always my pet peeve. He's always been a good defender. Formation has changed, and so he's able to actually defend now because he's not up in the right wing.
Yeah.
In midfield. And I like the fact, I'm with you, when Slot come out and said we weren't at it in the first half. And
I like the honesty from him. I really do.
And he didn't just say we weren't good enough. He praised Brighton as well and said, they played this fast attacking game. It was lovely to see. And again, what a goal by Salah, and Gakpo's cross/goal.
He admitted it as well, though, to be fair to him, didn't he, Gakpo? He didn't play it off as if he said it was meant to be a cross. So fair play to him for coming out and being so honest about it, because there'd be some players who'd be like, oh yeah, I meant to do that, all cocky, but fair play to him.
Hey, it's me all day. Treaty's asking the chat, do I think Salah will leave at the end of the season? I don't know. He's making loads of noises like he wants to stay. My understanding is, from what I've been reading, is he wants to stay. Liverpool have made, and this is one thing I've said to a couple of people. I've had a lot of chats with Man United fans this season. I said the one thing that I, in a way, admire about Man United, I'm a little bit envious of. If they want someone, they give it what it needs to happen. If they want to sign a player, and this is the transfer and this is the wages, they'll pay it if they want to have him. And what they've done with Amorim, the coach, they want him. They've got him. I watched the Liverpool board, they tried to lowball Salah in regards to the years on his contract and the value, to which he's sort of gone, let's be fair now, lads. Go on, 8th all-time goal scorer in the Premier League here, and he's still fiving him at 31, 32. So I think he wants to see. It depends what FSG go back with his next contract with. If they have to compromise, and I think they're giving him one less year than he wants and considerable less money that he wants. I think my understanding is if they offer him about the same value, but have that year extra, he'll probably do it. So I'm probably the more confident of all the players. Him and Virgil, it's only Trent that unnerves me.
Apparently, I've seen
the big V.
I've seen about Virgil that is very, very close to signing. Obviously, I don't know him, but I've seen on socials that he's very close. I promise.
But Chris is saying if Salah moves to Saudi, it would be the biggest contract in football history. I think it would have to be because, I again, from the Liverpool insider in the no accounts, they've all sort of said that he feels he's still got too much to give at top level football, so he's not ready for Saudi football yet. So if he goes, I think it'd be, and he's just such in good shape as well. I get body envy every time I look at him.
Honestly, and it's no disrespect to the Saudi leagues. I hate the fact people are going over there because I love watching these players, and obviously, I love watching Mo Salah, and obviously for my fantasy team as well, for fantasy team purposes as well. But I just think, like you said with Mo Salah, I feel like he's got so much more to give.
Yeah. I agree. And so I'm hoping that'll get sorted out. I think the big V and Salah will probably get sorted out. It's just, I don't know. Like I said the other week with Trent, I would be really peed off if he went on a free. I think if he wants to leave, he knows he wants to leave. So just don't play the game with the club. But at the same time, what lunatics allow your 3 best players to get this close to the end of the contract at the same time? Mental, absolutely mad. But I mean, Sam, I'm not going to make you talk about how good Liverpool are because I like you too much. But I mean, Brighton, I mean, they didn't fall away in the second half. They were just outplayed, but in the first half, they played well and they seem to be keeping up a good standard, do you feel?
Yeah, I think they were good. They were. I think they got into Liverpool in terms of the intensity, which you need to do. And I think Slot said, didn't he? The formation kind of surprised him a bit. He said they did cause problems. And I will give Liverpool props, and certainly Arne Slot, because I mean, as much as I don't want Liverpool at the top of the table, you can't help but kind of admire what he's done so far. You know, to be the kind of leading Liverpool manager in terms of the start that he's had. And he's also been great. And where Brighton probably suffered is that I think something Slot's becoming very good at is tweaking, is changing, is being able to adapt to the situation within a game, particularly when it's at that kind of half time and after period. Because even going back that first game against Ipswich, it was a rough first half, made a couple of changes, tweaked a few things, you came out something else. The players obviously responding to it. And I think once he got Diaz and Jones on, I think you had a lot more intensity, and he recognised that was the difference. He recognises what the issue is, and then he resolves it. And say from a Brighton perspective, like you're always in. Yeah, I looked at when they went sort of 1-0 up and they were playing well, and you thought it's Anfield though. Just the one goal is just then you're up against it. The fans are up. You're going to be wave after wave of attack. There's threat everywhere. You've got Salah, who can sort of do anything. I saw sort of the comment, about I don't know what Brighton letting the guy come in on his left foot. I think. And this is the problem with Salah. I think he tires the defender out. I think that was some of it. Was that because everybody knows not to do it. And Estepinian had played him kind of quite well at that time, but he just looked leggy, didn't get across quick enough, and got his body shape a little bit wrong to give him that space. And I think that's part of the threat. What Salah is he tires you out during the game. So, yeah, Brighton. At the end of the day, bit of a free hit for them. I think going to Anfield in the form that Liverpool were in, they've lost 2-1. They were leading the first half, playing well. A really good goal as well, really well finished. And to be honest, the key moment of the match for them was probably the ball where Kelleher made the save, wasn't there? There was a through ball. I think Hinchelwood played. Forget who the guy was through. Rutter, wasn't it? The guy they got from Leeds, Jorginho Rutter, and he made a really good save with his feet. Then it could have been a bit different, but even then, if Liverpool got one, this is a Liverpool team that can get 2 or 3. It rolls it. Anfield get up and there's a lot of threat. So, Liverpool, they're going to take some stopping. I think this is, with Arsenal and City dithering around a little bit, I don't think they can dither too much because this doesn't look like the way that Liverpool playing doesn't seem to lean itself to kind of a collapse. Do you know what I mean? We've seen halves where it's not quite been right and you've been able to pick it up. And Forest is probably the only game. But look how good Forest are playing now. At the time, everyone went, "Oh, they lost to Forest," and now you can look at Forest. Forest are third in the Premier League, so there's a lot of teams that are struggling with them. So I think it's going to be I think you're well in the fight. I think it's certainly right to say Liverpool are in a title race, and people are going to have to start worrying about them. And as Shah says, injuries may be the key thing.
Yeah, I think that I was thinking about this the other day. I don't want to jinx it. I'm not going to say it's going to jinx, but there's a certain player that hasn't had like a big injury run at all in his career, which has been quite key. And there's not a lot of injury worry players in the squad. Like some teams always have a player that is always like Kevin De Bruyne at the moment. You think there's always a chance that he's going to go down with a knock. We don't really have that.
Got some bounce back ability. Because I was looking at Canate the other day. Looked like he broke his arm, and then he's out today going, "I'll be all right for Wednesday." You're going, "Sorry, what?" He went off in a sling. How's that healed in 3 days?
He's just He-Man. It's the Kool-Aid that they're drinking down there. And I mean, on the Liverpool, I'm happy for Curtis Jones because I don't understand why he gets the stick that he does, and I think he's one of those players that suffer from not having a fixed position that he plays in, like Salah's the winger, this person's a striker, that's the right, because he's a bit of a floater. I don't think he gets opportunity to find himself much. So it's nice to see him come out playing well and proving himself and sort of shutting up some of the dissenting voices, which is nice to see because don't deserve the abuse that he gets when he's not
On
playing.
that as well, Josh, can I just mention, right? And honestly, I was gobsmacked and mind blown at this. There was a few people calling McAllister on Twitter saying, "Oh, what's he doing?" Blah blah. And I'm thinking, if you don't know what he brings to not only for Liverpool, but when he was at Brighton, to that squad, you do not understand football because he is just there. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like it really mind blown me. I was thinking, really? You think he's a bad player?
Yeah, I stuff like that does mind boggles me, which brings us on to the next game because there's a player in the following team that is very similar, has done well in all season, has had one dodgy mistake, he got loads of abuse from his fans. Manchester United won, Chelsea won. Of course, I'm talking about young Garnacho, the poor sod. But 1-1. Sam, how did that game make you feel?
Yeah, it's been an interesting week as always as a Man United fan. It's never dull. I'll tell you what, the match was dull, but the week, the week, not so much. Yeah, it's been a strange one. I didn't get to watch it, unfortunately. I was at a wedding yesterday, and would you believe the speeches started at 4:00? And I think purposely they'd turned the Wi-Fi off in the room, so me and my mate were planning to watch it. So we had to wait until half time to go, are you going to check or am I going to check? And he come back and went, it's 0-0 and it's rubbish. I was like, okay, good. Of all the games to miss. I did see some of the highlights. Yeah, we're kind of, I think now the Ten Hag things happen with Amorim coming, we're kind of in that kind of limbo zone where, okay, the midweek game in the EFL Cup against Leicester was bonkers. Leicester were rubbish and they put out a second team. So you can't read too much into it, but he just kind of felt a bit freer. And this one, by all accounts, we weren't great again. It was pretty turgid. Couple of chances. I think Rashford at the bar, Madueke hit the post, and then typical United, we find our way ahead because Sanchez is an absolute lunatic in goal. Every week I see him flying out at somebody, literally every week. And we got the penalty. Fernandez scores, and you're thinking, oh, here we go. Yeah, do it for Rude. Everyone's getting behind Rude, and then oh no, of course, 4 minutes later, we can't defend a corner properly. You don't get out to the man, and I think it's an interesting time, and I think. Garnacho, it's odd that Garnacho's got. I haven't seen the whole game, so I can't really comment on his whole performance. But it's odd that they've kind of gone at him. I know that there's going to be a lot of now the manager's been sorted. It will be the players that they go on to because there's the narrative. The cycle happens. The manager goes. The players have been the cause of the manager going. So they've dealt with the manager, and now it's like right now you're playing for your futures. We want to show what you can be, and yeah. Garnacho's not consistent enough. I think I spoke about it a few weeks ago. Some of his decision making needs to dramatically improve. But he's a talented player, and he's one that we haven't got the luxury at the minute of having lots of players with the potential that we can kind of wrap up. And yeah, maybe he had a poor game. I don't really understand why they've absolutely destroyed him. But yeah, we're just waiting. I think at the minute for hoping that. We can have a bit of a reset, Amorim coming in, and we've just got to give it time. Because that's what it takes. You've got a new manager coming in mid-season, by all accounts, very different tactically. He's got a load of players that he's now got to work with who are low on confidence. A lot of them are sort of struggling in different areas. But yeah, by all accounts, while it was turgid and boring, it wasn't awful from us. You know what I mean? There was what I understood was Casemiro was a lot better. He played a sort of fairly decent game, kind of in there. Mazraoui again, I think doesn't seem to put a foot wrong. Wowie, he's been excellent, but it's just like because it's United, everybody wants to pick on everything to be a disaster, and you're like, there is a lot of stuff going wrong and whatever, but. A 1-1 draw at home to Chelsea in the situation that we're in with an interim coach with a bit of a mess, you've just got to take at the minute, you know. But this season is going to probably now be, unfortunately, another rebuild and then get to the summer and see. Because I do think we just need to give him some time with the players to work out. He almost gets a free shot now. Work out what he can do, what he can't do with them. Don't go crazy. You don't need to do anything major money-wise. I don't think we go chasing it in January. Let him work it out, and then in the summer go, right, these are the guys I can work with, these are the guys I can't, and this is what we now need to do. But unfortunately, that's the situation we're in with the Ten Hag thing, and letting it run to this season was always the risk. If it didn't go right, they were going to have to push the button, but they've acted quickly, so it's kind of all you can ask, really.
And Julie said it's a roller coaster support. And I can't think of the Ronan Keating song. It's just gone
Life
from my
is
head.
a roller coaster, just
gotta ride it. That's the one. So don't fight it. I couldn't. Do you know? It was doing my head in for ages. I couldn't think. I could think of Bon Jovi roller coaster, but I couldn't think of the Ronan Keating one.
You should do Bewitched roller coaster. That's the best one.
I don't even know that.
You don't know Bewitched?
I know Bewitched,
that was
not
a classic.
Bewitched roller.
Wasn't there a Chili Peppers one as well? Roller coaster.
Yeah.
If you were to sing, I might know some of them. I'm more likely to know. I don't know which one. The Bewitched one doesn't ring any bells.
They need to bring out a compilation album of roller coaster songs. I reckon there's at least
Should we make our own?
We should. The Absolute Football Podcast roller coaster.
We all support teams that, when not necessarily Josh at the minute, but we support teams that are roller coaster. We'll do a duet, Sam.
We never win in the same week anyway. So.
Yeah.
But here's a comment from Stevie, Sam. I didn't know how fair you'd think this would be at the moment. He said, Forest have an excellent team spirit, Man United have none. Do you think that's a fair comment at the moment or not?
Forest certainly have excellent team spirit, and those teams do have team spirit. I think team spirit's the biggest issue that I've had. They do seem to be sort of sticking with each other. I think it's just a lack of quality and know-how is half the problem. I think we've got rid of a number of players that you could certainly lean that towards and lean that out. I do think this group that we kind of have are trying to work at it, and they do sort of. It's a question of obviously Ten Hag's got the bullet because we failed. That when a manager goes, you failed. They failed at that, at creating something there that was able to break teams down. I don't think it's spirit. I think it's decision making. I think it sometimes comes down to structure, to concentration, to I think as well to rotation of personnel can be an issue sometimes. We just don't know what is best to do. I think, and that comes a lot of where the issues come from. But I think there is a problem with running, general running. I think that's less team spirit and more individual players in that circumstance feeling they don't have to, or they've been told not to. There's two things around that. But I think that's probably where the Garnacho and Rashford things get because you look at the best wingers currently in the Premier League, Saka, Salah, they all run back. You remember Sadio Mane, so he probably ran more than anybody else when he was down that wing. We don't do that, and we're a bit like PSG used to be when they had Mbappe and Messi, who just went, I'll wait for you to get it and then I'll come alive. And then we lose it. And there's nothing more frustrating as a fan to see someone not running about, get the ball and lose it within 5 seconds and then stand there with their hands on their hips again. It's one of the worst things to see, where we all love people that put shift in and run around, might not have like the greatest quality, but will die for the kind of club thing. So yeah, there's a lot of things at United. So it's and the identity of the club, the style of play, it's all just not there. So it's Start again.
I mean, there are some comments I want to come to, but time's getting away from us. I'll try to push on a little bit. But what I did want to touch on, I know it's not massively fair because you didn't see all the game, but if you watch some of the highlights, did you see Martinez? And is he desperate to get sent off and hurt somebody? Or what's going on with the guy? He's a nutter.
Yeah, I think he's been a little bit kind of reckless, and there's been a few jumping ins in recent times, unnecessarily kind of jumpings in. I don't think this one was as bad as the previous one that he had. I think there was a little bit of a kind of again a sort of slip in, but it's again off the ground and a bit nonsensical and tetchy, you know what I mean? And this is the kind of point we do need the senior players and that to kind of stand up and go, right, let's be sensible about what we're doing here. Let's get a group, new manager coming in. Let's prepare and let's not be flying around. So but yeah, it was a little bit silly, but I don't think it was nowhere near as bad as the 2-footer one for me because there was no excuse for that.
He stayed on the ground, didn't he? I mean, what we're going to do, I mean, for everybody, because of the time that we've got, I think, and we're having issues with getting for some of our slides up, so we'll smash through the European results today rather than spend some proper time with them. So I do apologise for everybody. But I want to come some of the quick comments on you. Graham's got Man United always the most vulnerable when they score. Doesn't matter the manager, it seems Amorim's got a big job on his hands. They give him time. Spenny fan Chris is saying he's even the manager at Man United. He's got Champions League this week. And Stevie Leesner is saying he's never understood why they got rid of McTominay. who brought grit and increased energy levels. I know Charlotte was a fan of old big Scott McTominay midfield as well. Spenny fan Chris says they've got Man City at home on Tuesday. Be interested to see how he deals with it. And
flick him the V's. He's going to be completely professional until he walks off, and then it'll be like, there we go.
That'll be me. A Graves question, Martinez, little man syndrome. But what I wanted to check last week, I know you did the podcast on Ten Hag leaving last week because that was on the day. Obviously, I don't think you've been on since Amorim's been announced. I don't think.
No.
Awesome. What do you think?
I think that the problem has been with the whole Ten Hag sacking and the rumours of sacking pretty much most of the year, to be honest. The question has always been who's the guy to come in, who's the replacement, and there's no kind of obvious replacement. And there are obviously some similarities with what they did when they appointed Ten Hag. But I say when they appointed Ten Hag, this is Ineos's first kind of appointment, so this is their first go at saying this is our manager, this is how we want it to be. I like what I've seen so far. I like the personality. I think that's something that I always felt difficult with Ten Hag. I never kind of understood. He'd say some weird things in press conference, or he'd kind of mumble around and he'd blame it on time or something else. And I kind of like this guy's got a bit of personality. The job he seems to have done at Sporting Lisbon, very good. Porto and Benfica are massive teams in Portugal, and to win them titles and cups and things while they're kind of in that period is promising. Obviously not. Is in that kind of up and coming manager, hasn't got the resume that you can say he's done this, he's won Champions Leagues, he's proven. But United have gone through kind of everything over this period of time. We tried the David Moyes experiment, which was a massive failure. Mourinho,
that's
Van
a really
Gaal.
bad rock band, wasn't it? The David Moyes experience.
We've tried the experience with Jose, the winner with Jose Mourinho, European win and pedigree in Van Gaal. We tried the ex-player and all of that to put the arm around the shoulders in Solskjaer. We then went with the new up-and-coming manager with Ten Hag, and it's kind of like, well, we've kind of exhausted every option so far. But I like the fact, the rumours was that City were interested in him. Is that there was a lot of talk. I know their director's gone to City and whatever. I wonder whether some of that was Tuchel was obviously on the list, and England moved for Tuchel, whether that influenced the decision to say can't lose another man, whether that was a possibility. And I like the fact that he made the comment, I think in his press conference, saying that if he was going to a club for money, he would have gone somewhere else. And you think, who else in world football could offer you more money than Manchester United will offer you for a manager job? There isn't many teams. You're probably looking at Madrid. It ain't Madrid, because Madrid have got Ancelotti and they're probably waiting for Alonso. PSG are pretty set with Luis Enrique. Man City are probably one of the only other ones maybe thinking about, unless it's Saudi Arabia or something crazy. So, I think it's all kind of been a bit whirlwind, so you want to get behind it, give it time, and it's just nice to sort of see something fresh. And I think United fans are just desperate for something to be positive about, really desperate for something to be positive about. And he plays a completely different way, so it's trying to understand and learn that style. If he plays this 3-4-3 that he plays, and how our players fit into this, or whether they don't fit into that. And there's a lot of questions with the appointment, but I'm pleased, because some of the other names that are out there I didn't want. It was more a case of people I didn't want rather than there was one that I really wanted.
Gareth?
I was going to say that.
Gareth is now saving himself for somebody else.
I was gutted. I mean, Spenny fan Chris is saying he's been under Mourinho's care for a few years ago. So he learned from the special one that he has. I think he unofficially managed another one or two teams without his correct licenses in Portugal. So he's done bits and pieces. And what if I was a Man United fan, which I'm not, if I was, the thing that I think would be most reassured is what I've seen of Ineos as an outsider is they work really hard on sort of cutting costs at United. They've been cutting headcount in places. They sacked the Alex Ferguson. And, I think they got rid of the club historians. They made lots of cuts. But Amorim, and the thing that put a lot of people off is he's a big expense because he's a package. He's a man with all of his coach and stuff. So the commitment would be, and my understanding is what put the other clubs off, is that you'd have to get rid of all of your existing coach and staff to facilitate his coach and staff, or you're doubling up, and his wage. And the release is a big commitment. And the fact that Ineos, a company that on the surface looks to be quite prudent and sensible with their money, the fact that they're willing to make that sizable investment, surely to God, means that they're confident this is somebody that they want and they're going to back him, because you ain't going to make that level of investment unless you're a lunatic without that dedication to the cause and thinking this is our guy to come in. And like I said, he's a young manager. He is up and coming. He's done good stuff. And he speaks English, and good English from what I've seen. And I like the fact that, as Graham said, he was pushed to speak in English. And and he turned it down because it wasn't the right thing to do. And I think, was it Graham Kelly as the interviewer? I can't remember who it was. Whoever it was, you were being a willy. He does. And I think that's, as I was saying earlier, that's something I quite like about Ineos, is even though they're showing themselves to be trying to be fiscally sound, they're willing to make this commitment because they think it's right, and they should be given it that time. And hopefully, the first support will be one that lasts more than a season.
Hopefully, it's big business mentality, isn't it? Yeah. You can see that because that when you make an investment as a big business, as you said, you've done your research on it and you feel it's the best. And there's no guarantees in life or business, certainly not in football. There's no guarantees. Decision is only as good as the facts that you have at the time that you make any decision in life, and that's kind of where they're at. So there's no guarantees that we may be able to. We are a mile off. We've got a lot of problems within the club that they're trying to fix and sort. We've also got, the juggernaut of City still sitting there. Liverpool regrouping, Arsenal there. There's a big gap. We're not talking about titles because we're talking about just trying to be in the race again. It's big jumps to go. So I think the fact that they've said this is the guy, they've backed him, they backed the fact that they're going to bring the coaching staff in as well. The fact that they were strong with him as well, because I think the noises were he wanted it at the end of the season. And he said, look, I want to do this as sport. And they said, you come now or you don't come. That's also, in the past, we've been rolled over a little bit by players, managers and whatever. And that's saying, well, if that's not, then okay, we're not going to do it kind of thing. And then the fact that he's been willing to change his mind, he obviously values the job and the opportunity, because while it is a mess and has become a bit of a graveyard for managers and players in recent years, it's too big an opportunity to. If you're the one that turns it around, you could become like Klopp became at Liverpool. Liverpool had gone a long time without a title when Klopp came. That's where United are kind of at the moment. And then you're like the second coming of the Messiah. Do you know what I mean? You're that if you can get it right. And the fact that that you have an absolute juggernaut behind you as well in terms of the club. Still, its stature in world football. Ineos sat behind it. I agree with Dietrich. I hope Reed stays. I'd love to see, because I think that would just give that extra little bit of the United link.
Did he not mention it in an interview? I think it was yesterday, where he's basically said that he'll still be there.
Yeah, he said I'll do whatever. He said I'm here for the club. Yeah. And what the club want and need me to do. It's probably just going to be a case of what Amorim wants from him, and because Bannister has been a manager, and what his long-term goal is. It may well be is that he might be here for 6 months. Do you know what I mean? End of the season. But I'd like to see him, and I think the fact that he's taken it on, and I've loved the way he's dealt with reporters over this past week as well, when they were sort of saying to you, "So you staying? What's the plan?" If he goes, "Has he been announced?" No. Okay, well, then I'm here, and this is what I'm doing today. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Do you know what else I quite like as well? Gosh, doesn't he look handsome as he's got older, man? This little boy.
I thought you meant the other guy, me. But yeah, I'm all for United's manager, me. Might start going with fat.
Yeah. No offense to Eric, but we have stepped up a little bit in the last week.
Because I was watching the highlights, and I think he had his glasses on or something. I thought, "Ooh, rude boy!"
When he came out to the Leicester, and he's got there with the polo neck, and I was like, "Oh, rude,
yeah.
Very rude indeed."
Rude.
Oh, I tell you, I was melted. I melted. I thought, what a man is. Graham in the chat, you might get this reference, you might not. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Do you get that? Do you get that one, Sam?
Do indeed. Oh, what a goal. Fulham have just equalised in injury time. Brilliant flick.
Was it
Harry Wilson?
Oh, I happy he scored. Oh, Raul. He's my FPL, Raul. And what have we got? Andretti loved his celebrations on the touchline. It reminded me, it was very much like a player's celebration, wasn't it?
Yeah, I love the fact there's an interim manager, because I think as a manager, there's always that kind of, when you're an interim, they're just like, screw it, I'm celebrating, and I'm fist bumping, I'm looking the crowd in the eyes, and it's like how we all want to be.
As he knee sliding and all that. But before I attempt to share these slides, I mean, Shah, do you have anything to put on the Manchester United movement of manager or Chelsea's performance? If you want to give Chelsea anything?
Oh no, don't want to give Chelsea anything. But yeah, I'm quite impressed to be fair. I didn't really know much about him, I will admit, but reading about him, how people said with his conferences as well. I kind of like his personality from what I've seen, and yeah, I think he's one of them players from what I've heard and what I've seen, like reports and things. It doesn't take any nonsense, and I think he's very, especially in training. From what I've heard, he expects 100%. He'll have you running and all that kind of like quite physical kind of things, and they've basically said if they're not fit enough or if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, then you're out. And I think that is exactly what Manchester United need. And yeah, I really do. I'm really interested to see. But do you know what I am really interested to see as well? Do you think Amorim will win a trophy before Arteta?
Yeah, I think Arteta will be sacked by the end of the season.
Reckon?
It's possible. I mean,
he's mad, isn't it?
Because to be honest, the Europa League this year, you don't get the Champions League coming in. Okay, we've not won a game in the Europa League yet, but if suddenly he gets a bit of a run together in that cup competition, or I think we're in the quarterfinals of the League Cup at Spurs, but suddenly you get through that, he starts and he's in a semi-final of the League Cup. It's possible.
Do you know? That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
It is crackers. Now I'm going to try and see if I can share my screen, because it's not us. StreamYard isn't working at the moment, so I'm going to see if this will let me share this screen. So it is, and I'm gonna give this a whirl to see if I can make this work throughout. But right, it's there. Only games that we didn't cover, to my knowledge, were Ipswich Town and Leicester City 1-1. Because it was 1-1. And Southampton beating Everton.
Big goal, that was. Big goal for them. My word, they needed that. They massively needed that. Might still not be enough, but they needed it.
I mean, Ipswich Town still without a win down there, which isn't looking good. I think on Wolves drew with Crystal Palace 2-2.
I really enjoyed that game, though. I really enjoyed it.
I did. How much has Jose Sarr dropped off these last couple of years, though? There was a time where he was like, he just seems like an error-proof goalkeeper all the time. Like, Wolves are awful defensive. I love going forward, but defensively they're a mess.
Yeah.
Oh. And Treaty was saying, by the way, she hopes that Amorim wins a trophy before Arteta. And Russ is coming in right at the tail end. I'm about to bang through all of European results before we go home. But you can catch us. You can catch up. Don't you worry. I agree with some of Madsik's rants for the Southampton goal. It might have been. I didn't see it. I'll take your word for it.
He hit they hit the bar and then they went down the other end. But it was like, everyone's been giving Russell Martin for the playing out from the back. This actually worked because they didn't panic. They didn't lump it upfield. They played through, and then 22 seconds after, Beto hit the bar for Everton. So Ramsdale was absolutely brilliant. There's a save he made from what was the guy's name? Michael Keane. Check it out. Really good save from Ramsdale.
And Treaty is saying it's a great win for Southampton, but she's gutted Rebecca and Daishi. Scary times, because that's the table. That's what it looks like. It is sort of tight down the bottom there. I mean, Everton very close, 4 points off being pulled into the relegation zone. Scary times. And then, as we said earlier, European Cup winners in the top 4 there, and then Arsenal just spoiling it in 5th. But exciting times. I'm going to see if this is. I don't know if I'm going to be able to skip to the next slide. Yes, I can. Dude, Sam, do you want to give us a quick fly through all of these results?
Yeah, I think the main news was, there was no games. Obviously, the sad sort of flooding and whatever's that's going on in Valencia. So there was a couple of games postponed: Valencia, Real Madrid, and Villarreal, but Barcelona won again. Barcelona are just continuing to absolutely juggernaut it down with a 3-1 victory. Dani Olmo with 2 and Rafinha. Atletico Madrid scored twice. They beat Las Palmas winning for Real Sociedad at Sevilla losing again, and then probably the game of the weekend was my Girona versus Leganés. Oh my God, Fulham have won it in injury time. Wow.
Whoa, really?
Turned it round.
Jimenez.
Pandemonium. No, he's. I don't even know if he's still on the pitch. Brentford looked
Smith
distraught. No, I think it's Wilson again. Pretty sure it's Wilson again. They're all in the crowd at the minute. There's Stuart Gray. I used to go to his soccer school. He's happy as well. Look at that. They're all happy.
Welsh winger scoring it.
So yeah, Spain, Spanish football. That was about it. Girona 4, Leganés 3 was a bit of a belter, but went for this replay. But that was a hell of a goal.
And Valencia, they need to win a game to get themselves out there. Those Cap Island's going to be very upset. Otherwise, they're going to be rooted at the bottom. I'm going to try click this screen again. Look at that. Syria. Not a lot of games going on at the time of putting my slides together. But yeah, those were the games. They're there. I have no idea what's going on. I normally have like results and stuff on a different page, but I can't see it because of the way I have to share the screen. So, anything exciting, Sam? You look like almost like you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just sure it's just a Fulham game because Anthony Robinson's in my dream team and he's got the cross. We got a last minute assist, last minute point addition in that. And it's a lovely little header from Harry was like bending his head back. And he's got, look at that, the knee slide in front of the fans, the winner. There's a lunatic on the pitch. What's going on? It's not Claire, by the way.
That's the first.
It was an old bloke with a beard, unless she's changed since I last saw her. But no, Fulham pandemonium.
I didn't. There she is. There's Claire. Oh, bless. She said, for a couple of days. She popped the sail up to my face.
I love Claire.
We do. We love you.
We love you, Claire.
Mwah. Don't have awful days. But I didn't look who did have an awful day. Utility FC. Letty blown a fuse. They can't get relegated. You can't do it to us. Don't do it to us, Lecky.
If Lecky get relegated, I'll have to cover it on my lower league show.
Imagine and Serie B.
Chuck it in. And Salavis is asking, how long would modern Fergie time get in this game? 25 minutes, probably.
Who knows? Concede in those times at the minute. We're all concerned about conceding and selfish on the score in these days.
But unless the next league, the Bundesliga. What I do know is I think that the Leverkusen and Stuttgart. No, it wasn't. Was it Stuttgart? I can't see the results. Yes, Leverkusen and Stuttgart both drew. Leverkusen not quite set in the world. They're like too many draws this season. Too many draws. They've only lost one. But too many draws letting them down. But Harry Kane scoring another brace for Bayern Munich as they won 3-0. He's now on 11 goals in 9 games, and I think it was 5 assists to 16 goal contributions in 9 games. Okay, I bet he wish he went to play for a good side sooner in his career because look at the numbers he's putting up. He could be really doing some exciting bits. I can't remember what Charlotte said, but this is in response to you, Char. She's putting her foot. Extra league.
Extra league.
Putting her foot down. And if they can get relegated, who's paying their bills?
Not me.
But that is, do you know what? I'm getting so hot in here. I'm really starting to struggle. It's
Nelly. Hard in here.
Do you know what? I'd start like doing a little dance here and like taking it all off, but I think that would definitely be the end of the show then. But Bayern Munich are still top on 23 points, 3 points ahead of Leipzig, 3 points ahead of Eintracht Frankfurt, 1 point ahead of Leverkusen, who are on the same points as Dortmund and the same points as Freiburg, who are 1 point ahead of Union Berlin, who are 2 points ahead of Stuttgart, who are on the same points as Mönchengladbach, who are 1 point ahead of Werder Bremen, who are 1 point ahead of Augsburg, who are 1 point ahead of Heidenheim, on the same points as Mainz, who are 1 point ahead of Wolfsburg, who are 1 point ahead of St. Pauli, on the same points as Hoffenheim, who are 3 points ahead of Holstein Klein and 4 points ahead of Bochum, who are sitting at the bottom of the Bundesliga. SBFL, what's that? What happened, Char?
Well, I'm fuming because Big Shanks didn't score, didn't assist. I'm absolutely fuming. The only thing he did was get booked, and I feel like I've not been on the Premier League one often, and Big Shanks isn't doing anything, so I feel like I need to come on more for my Scottish preview, so then I get Big Shanks like
Step
scoring again.
Yeah,
I need
he needs it.
Remember last season, all the songs we were singing week in, week out, and now absolutely nothing. So
No big shanks. There's no little shanks. There's just
I know.
Your fault, Char.
no shanks.
Your fault.
Shanked
My
it.
fault. Did shank it. But Hearts did win though. Clark actually scored for Hearts a own goal though, but he did redeem himself because he did score a penalty then for St Johnstone. So it was 1-1. And then Vargas scored a winner in the 76th minute. The next game was St Mirren, Ross County. It was a 0-0, so I won't talk much about it. But Kilty missed a penalty, and obviously he could have got St Mirren to win, but he didn't. And then we have got Dundee. They played Kilmarnock. It was 3-2. Kilmarnock scored first in the 24th minute. It was Anderson. And then Kennedy scored, so they did go 2-0 up. And then just before half-time, Palmer Holding got one back for Dundee. And then in the second half, McGee scored. And then I'm going to be honest, I cannot pronounce the guy's name who got the winner for him. I'm not going to butcher it, but they did end up winning Dundee 3-2. And then Hibs won, Dundee United won. Miller scored in the 28th minute for Hibs. They did have someone sent off as well. I can't even pronounce his name either. I think it's Kukarevich.
Some dude.
Yeah, second yellow card anyway. And then I think it was from that incident. Dundee did get a penalty. They did score it, and it was 1-1. Celtic are still top. We've got Aberdeen, who are second. Rangers are third. Hibs at the bottom. It's not looking good for them at the minute, is it? But yeah, not really much going on. Only for 4 games.
No one's fault really. I think did I see PSV lost? They did. PSV lost to Ajax 3-2. The first game that they've lost this season. They've won 10, drawn none, but now they've lost one. They lost to Ajax. They did score two goals, I believe. Did they? Yes, they did score 2 goals. So they are keeping that goal scoring streak going. 37 goals now in 11 games. It's just silly. And Warwick, what a game of football! Yay! They are trying for us. They want us to keep them there. Old Warwick. They were won against some team 2-0. And also podcast favorite NEC won 6-0. 6-0 against Groningen or Groningen. Groningen. Some team that won 6-0 against. What a league. What a goal scoring league. Feyenoord beat Ahmed Ahmar 3-2. And Fortuna Shithard won 3-0 against Herveen. What a time to be alive. God bless you, Eredivisie. Mwah! I'm going to love that league. And in League One, unfortunately, I wasn't here last week. I didn't notice PSG is starting to break away a little bit now, unfortunately. So I'm losing interest. Monaco lost in anger, I heard you say. 1-0, spoiling it for everybody. So stuff you, PSG. But yeah, that's what happened. We're not talking about the team in third because they're silly billies and nothing else too exciting really going on in League One. So I'm going to stop sharing that because don't like it anymore. Thank everybody for joining us here. Sam, if they all want a bit more Sam, where are you?
I am at Sam Absolute FBL on Twitter and on Tickety Talk and doing Absolute Football podcast bits as well. It's just what I do. It's just what we do.
It's just how he rolls. Sure. Where art thou?
Everybody can find me. I'm SharXREFC. That is on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. My Her Game 2 stuff is Rochdale HGT on all of those socials. And of course, you can catch me on Thursday for Absolutely Lower League. I'm not sure who's on at the minute, but we'll be covering the league football, FA Cup football, and there is a game week as well for National League North and South and Championship midweek. So we'll be covering that as well.
And pretty soon, Syria B.
Yeah, so when you get relegated.
And I think I did see in the chat, Claire said Beck seemed had a good week apart from Everton. And Graham thinks the time has come to make the snip at the top of the league, and it might well be. And I've become the living emoji. I used to have that here too. That went a long time ago, though. That's like 20 years. God, no, nearly. I'm going to see if this one is working, however. So if you are watching, please do follow us on TikTok. It's a wonderful, what an account to follow, full of stuff to do with football that we post. So you know it's going to be good shit. That is at Absolute Ball Pod. And if you're watching on the old YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. And what a feeling you'll get. What a feeling you'll be dancing on the ceiling. Whoa. So please do hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, don't go dancing on my ceiling. You'll come through the ceiling. Oh, what a ceiling. It's a pretty rubbish feeling.
With the ceiling. When it fell, the kids were screaming. But follow us everywhere, subscribe everywhere. Mondays, Premier League and European football at 8:30. And on Wednesdays, #Team Chaos, all things women's football. If you love women's football, if you don't mind women's football, if you want to learn more about women's football, that is the place for women's football on Wednesdays at 8:30. And the rowdy wabble, headed up by Shah, taking charge of controlling. She's the udder, the anchor that holds that whole thing together and steers them where they need to go. The juggernaut that is Absolutely Lower League on Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. doing all English football, it feels like, below the Premier League.
Italian soon.
Who knows? But get checking. But thank you for joining us, everybody. It's been marvellous. Sam loves you. Charlotte loves you. God loves you. I think you're all right as a friend. Have a pleasant evening. TTN. Ta-ta for now.